Hello, everybody. We are back with another Modern Agent Blueprint. And today we are going to be doing mastermind style. And we are going to be talking about, I want to get the title right, strategies for getting strategies to get a winning offer for your buyer. So I wanted to start out, before we started recording, I was talking with the ladies on the call about a situation with my seller right now. And we're looking at offers and we are going through each offer, looking at what we like about the offer, what we don't like about some of these offers. So I'm just going to talk about some of the things that are actually, we're not going to take this one offer because of the way they wrote up verbiage for inspection. So, and I'll tell you, we'll explain why. So it's one of my listings. We have 3 offers on it. The first offer came in on the first day. They went over, but no appraisal guarantee, which is okay. I asked them if they would do one. He said that they would, but only if we accepted it that day. And there was no way. We had so much interest in this property that there was just no way that we were going to do that. So they never added it. Then we got offer 2 and offer 3. So offer 2 is over asking, no inspection at all. They're completely waiving inspection. The agent is also the loan officer, which is a situation I've never been in. Marissa and I were just talking about this a little bit, and Brooke was mentioning, like, it's less room for blame. You know, he's going to know exactly where everything is the whole time, so it should be pretty smooth. However, there is definitely a delay in getting things. Like, he's getting wet signatures on stuff and it's just delayed. Plus, we just had a holiday weekend. So it's been a little bit more of a stressor trying to get all this stuff done. Third offer, again, over list price, it's actually $1,000 higher than the last one. However, their verbiage on their offer, we didn't like. So what they put on here, and tell me what you guys think about this. They wrote in the offer that they would not ask for anything, any repairs or concessions from inspection unless the cumulative repair cost was more than $3,000. But to me, like, that's a giant red flag, because to me that said, first of all, who's coming up with the cost? Is this the buyer is going to Home Depot and buying all the stuff and they're taking care of the repairs themselves? Or are we hiring a contractor or a handyman who's going to upcharge everything, who's going to, cost extra? And, are we talking, let's just say you need a GFCI in the laundry room, right? You need a outlet. Is that a $50 outlet or a $250 outlet? I don't know who's coming up with these costs. So to me, it came across as, we're going to tally up everything from the inspection report, and then we're definitely going to ask for concessions. So we're going to come in high, and then we're going to end up negotiating back down. And so we did talk to that. Well, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree that you think that that's what would happen too?
Similar-ish, not actually in my offer, but in my email verbiage, but I don't put a number to it. I will usually just put that this, like, inspections for informational purposes only, or I put that, like, buyers understand that inspections are for negotiating unexpected and large items, not for nitpicking. Like, we understand that there's going to be items on the report. I don't remember my exact verbiage, but it's something like very close to that, where it's my goal with that verbiage is to ease the seller's mind that, like, hey, we're only coming back and we're going to work with you if there's, like, mold in the attic that no one knows about and no one's disclosed, right? Or, like, maybe there is some really big issues, or, like, I don't know, I can't think of other things off the top of my head at this time, but let's, like, unexpected things, right? Like, that's the exact word I use, is we understand this is for unexpected repairs. And so similar strategy, but different. I don't like the, like, cumulative tally for the exact same reason you do. Like, who's coming up with that number?
Right. And I mean, the way that I've done some of my verbiage in the past is, health, safety, and structural only, or I've done, like, we're not going to ask for anything unless a single item is going to cost more than $1,000 for a repair or a replacement. There's a lot of different ways that you can word it, but and this has also been something that has been a topic of discussion with my clients before, where they wanted like to tally up everything in the inspection report, just like I assume these people would want to do, tally up everything and say, okay, this entire inspection is going to end up costing us $6,000 to do all these repairs. So, which, and when you do an inspection, like 90% of that stuff, you're probably never going to take care of, right? It's just stuff. Right. It's just stuff, house stuff. So you might take care of some of it. Most of the time, you probably aren't going to take care of all of it. And if you do, it's going to be over time. It's not going to be like before you move in, you're going to take care of all these things. So when people start tallying up everything, you kind of have to like tell your clients, like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit here. Like, we have to consider if we ask for all this stuff, then it's just going to upset the seller. It's going to upset the other agent. And now it's going to be a much harder negotiation later if the appraisal doesn't come back. So we need to make sure that we are like really thinking about this in the most strategic way possible. So I think my client's actually going to go with offer 2. Even though things are taking a little bit longer and stuff, I think without having an inspection, it should move along a lot faster. So fingers crossed that it all works. But, I think as we're talking about winning offers in a market like this, I mean, I don't know what the market's like where you are, Angie, or, some of these markets are a little bit weird. I know like in Florida, one of our teammates is in Florida and she has, they're in a buyer's market. These houses are sitting for like 90 days, 120 days, like they cannot sell. So it's really hard for them because, we haven't had a market like that at forever, it feels like. So it's very interesting to me, like how the markets are so different. And here, I mean, I'm sure Brooke and Marissa can, attest to this. And I'm calling on you guys because your faces are on here. But, it's like you see one house and it might sit on the market for 30 days and then another one is selling the first weekend. And why? Like, what is the difference? Like for my house specifically, we did our first open house on a Thursday. So it went fantastic. So Lindsay hosted it for me. She had 12 people come through that open house on that Thursday night, 5 to 7. And then we had tons of showings. And then we did another open house on Saturday from 11 to 1. And we had 15 groups come through, but only 3 offers. So like, it's kind of surprising to have so much interest, but only 3 offers. You know what I'm saying? It's just a weird market. Like I'm kind of thrown off a little bit by the market a little bit. Like why some houses are getting 16 offers and others are only getting 1 or maybe none. So I don't know, Angie, what is your market like where you are right now? Is it tough right now or is it pretty strong?
Houses are definitely sitting on the market longer. And your typical residential, I would consider that a buyer's market right now, meaning you're getting more concessions or you're getting a price reduction. You can negotiate a little bit more when you get to the inspection. But if you're looking at a secondary home, like over on we have Kentucky Lake and Barkley Lake, like those houses are hitting the market and they're going multiple offers over asking. So it really depends right now. I mean, we just came off the holiday and so everybody was down at the lake. And so, 4 or 5 houses just on Kentucky over on one side went live, which that's the smartest time. The boaters are out. They put the signs around back, so when they're going in these bays in different places, they can see what's listed. Those houses are going quick right now. And it's just because of the season more than the area. Well, it is the area, but we're in boating season. We're at the beginning of summer. People are wanting to get on the lake. So those are going over asking. And I would say those are still at the discretion of the seller. But honestly, those typically are, unless
Yeah.
interest rates are just crazy high. if somebody wants that house bad enough, they're gonna pay over asking. And if it's a good enough house, they're gonna fight for it. But I think residential has slowed down a little bit. Days on market are about 60 here. So, um,
That's a long time. 60
yeah,
days.
and it's the first time we've had a considerable amount of inventory. I had some people come down here from Texas a few weeks ago, and we had enough houses that we could actually look at property all day. And that's been unusual. That's new. So I don't know. I'm still busy. I was looking at um my buyers today, going kind of over that and seeing if I could match anything up that I had kind of missed the last few days. And I've got, 5 or 6 active buyers right now, which for me, that's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, so I mean, it's good to know what your market's like. I mean, I think here it's just, it's hit or miss on houses. I think some areas are always hot, like always, as soon as the house hits the market, you got multiple offers coming in. And then some areas I feel like do sit a little bit longer. Um, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of houses with big issues coming up lately, like septic fields failing, arsenic in the water, like all kinds of crazy stuff. There is a giant deer right outside of my window right now. Oh my gosh, just scared me. Like I could see it through. Brooke, you would die. It's like right in my window. She freaked out when she was at my house one day because there was deer in my front yard. It just scared me. He came around the corner, he was right there. Anyway, sorry, distraction. But I wanted to talk about like some different things that we can do. And I do kind of want this to be more like mastermind style where we all talk about different things that we're doing with our offer writing and stuff to help us get offers accepted. I just had a client, we put in an offer on a property. It was a very tiny house. I mean, 3-bedroom, tiny little ranch on a slab, but it was on an acre in Ann Arbor, which is still a hot market. Ann Arbor, I feel like the houses sit a little bit longer than some of the surrounding areas. But I think it's just because the taxes are so high here. I mean, there's definitely still a huge market for people moving here, but taxes are really high. And, with the interest rate, I think it does affect things too. But this house, you have to have a specific buyer for it. You have to have a small family or a younger, or maybe just like a couple that's living there because the house is really tiny. But it was on an acre with a giant pole barn. The pole barn could fit 2 of these houses in it for sure. Like the pole barn was double the size of the house. So anyway, we ended up writing an offer. We wrote a very strong offer. I think it was listed at 330, and we wrote, or maybe it was listed at like 320 something, and we ended up writing 375 and did not get it. And I was just, it was crazy. They actually had 3 offers at 375, which I just could not believe how high it actually went. And then we ended up finding another house that was listed similar size, but really cute, really nicely done. A little bit of a unique property. So it's really a 2-bedroom, and the addition on the back is like they're using it as a dining room, but then there's also a king size bed. And there's like that's basically the 3rd bedroom. And it's a very unique property. We'll just say that. There's like a big barn in the back that is partially finished, and they use it as like a cello, like they teach cello in it. So it's a nice house. Like it's really cool, but the house is really tiny. And so my client was like, we do not want to lose this house. Like I have to get this house. It's going to keep her kids in the same school district. They won't have to change anything. It's actually only like 2 minutes from their current house. So it's a great situation, that they're not going to have to literally move across town or anything like that. So we wrote that off. That house was listed at 330. We wrote 375 with a full appraisal guarantee, inspection, like pass or fail. Like we pulled out all the stops, and they were still like, it's a great offer, but like we have some other people who are interested too. So we kind of want to see. And I think sellers get greedy. I think when you put in a really strong offer, sellers are like, oh, well, maybe we should see what else we can get. You know, I think it immediately makes them a little bit more greedy, which I get. But we ended up deciding, my client was like, I don't want to wait. Like, I cannot wait the whole weekend on this. Like, what can we do? So we added in a $5,000 seller closing costs credit if they accepted by 8 o'clock that night. And they did. So that $5,000 really worked out well. But then here's the funny thing. So we did do a pass or fail inspection, but some big ticket items showed up. The roof was way older and in way worse shape than we were expecting. We couldn't see there's like a lot of broken shingles and like issues that we couldn't see because of the pitch. And we ended up asking for that 5,000 back, and they actually gave it to us. They were not happy about it, but they gave it to us. Plus the AC and the the AC and the furnace were way older too. The AC, I still don't even know I don't even remember seeing it, but it was on the side of the house. It was old, but we didn't realize like it was in pretty bad shape according to the inspector. So we ended up working it out to where we were getting the 5,000 back, but that actually really helped us get the house. And they were okay with it eventually. They wanted to make this work, but trying to do these like little extra things to help get the house. I did another one recently where the seller, she was the agent who was selling her own property. She was pregnant. She was like 32 weeks pregnant. And so I added in, on top of my client's fantastic offer, I added in that if they accepted the offer, I would buy them a $100 gift card to this barbecue place in their town. And I added on another email and I said, I'll even pay for a maternity photo shoot or a family photo shoot after you have the baby, if you guys accept our offer. And I was like, this is so going to do it, like totally going to work. And they ended up going with another offer because it was a little bit more. And then those people ended up backing out after inspection. And there wasn't even really anything wrong with the house. I don't know why they backed out. I think they just got cold feet. But when they came back, I did not give the things to the agent because she didn't take our offer the first time. But I still would have. If she would have asked, I probably would have still done it just because I liked her as a person. But the whole incentive was accept our offer now and we'll give you these things. So I didn't follow through with it. But is there anything that you guys have done in writing offers that has like pushed it to the edge or done something like super unique to get your offer accepted?
I do something similar, but I'll tier it. And it's very much case by case, right? Like these are all conversations you've got to have with your clients. Because at the end of the day, it's like what they can do. We can come up with all these creative ideas, but they just have to be comfortable and make sure they feel that like we're fighting for them, not like for the sellers. I feel like always that delicate balance as we start to get more creative and incentivize the sellers is we want to make sure that our clients still feel like it's us fighting for them to just get the house, right? So that's always the thing I keep in the back of my mind when I'm having those conversations with my clients. But the one that I've done and that's worked is I will tier it. So similar to you, Nicole, like, okay, you'll get an extra 5,000 if you accept it tonight. You get 2,000 if you accept it by noon tomorrow. Anything after noon, that incentive goes away. And usually we'll just include it in purchase price because then if it doesn't appraise, then okay, then my clients aren't paying more anyways, unless you're doing an appraisal guarantee, of course. But I usually just do it in price and do like escalate it that way.
That's one way of doing it. I've not really done anything like that. Like I've done the whole, like, if you respond tonight or if you accept it tonight, we'll do this. Like we'll add in $10,000 seller closing costs or whatever. And I think that's the hardest part with the market that we're in now, especially with the interest rates and all that stuff, is that you do have to figure out what exactly your client is able to do financially. What's, and I'll tell them too, like, I don't want you to be house poor. Like, I want you to be happy with this house. And if you feel like you like paid way over what you wanted to on this, then I don't want you to hate me later. So I want to make sure that you're comfortable with what you're going in at. And it's going to deter, like you have to decide, how much do you like this house? Do you like it enough that you know, want to throw in these extra things? Like I just did one yesterday where they wanted to write an offer on a house that has 3 offers already. And that house, I told him what my offer would be. And I don't know if you guys do this. Sometimes I'll like shoot my shot with the agent and say, if I send you an offer of this amount, you know, 10 over with $10,000, you know, is that gonna put them in the top, you know, and see what they say. So he told me, the agent had told me that there were 3 other offers on the property already. They were all about that same price. So I went back to my client and I said, I think we need to start at that higher price and then do an escalation clause going up a little bit higher, and fingers crossed it works out. And then I would suggest doing an appraisal guarantee, and ideally you do the entire amount that you're willing to go over. So, you know, I guess we'll see what happens. We'll find out later today on that one, but it's so tough because you don't know, like, you don't know what other people are throwing at houses. I mean, I lost one because it was a cash offer and they had done the same thing. It was a pass or fail inspection. And then they did, if they accepted by this time, you know, tonight, that they would throw in an additional amount or they would raise the purchase price. And because it was cash, there's no appraisal, so they didn't even have to worry about that. So that was also a benefit too. But Brooke, have you ever done anything? Oh, go ahead, Marissa.
I was gonna say, I'll add one more little thing that like I thought of that like based on for our clients, like when we're having these conversations with them, I'll like my little gut check that I have with them is I'll tell them like, okay, if you were thinking 400 for this one, right? Like, okay, what if we got beat at 405? Are we depressed and we're never looking at a house again? What about 4010 or 410? What about, and then if they're like, ooh, then I'm like, okay, what about 411? What if someone beats us? We did 410, they did 411, and we lost. Are we devastated, depressed, and never looking at another house again and comparing everything to this? And I start going up 1,000 at a time. And then that's the number that I tell them we need to escalate up to. As soon as they're like, yeah, nope, that would be it. Like, I don't care if someone beats me at 416 and I did 415, then cool, I'm good with that. I can sleep at night. Like, so that's my one thing. I'm like, we don't necessarily have to offer that. We can do your 400 that you would feel so happy with, but then let's escalate to the 415 because that's where we're not depressed. If someone does 416, then we can move on. It wasn't meant for us. Like, then we're good. And that's where I feel like when I have that conversation with them, they usually are like, okay, cool. Like that makes sense. That makes me feel good. Like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I call it my what's your walk away number? You can walk away and you're like, I don't care. Like that was too much. I'm ready to move on and find my house. And if you know what your walk away number is, let's escalate up to that. And then let's just, you know, feel good about it no matter which way it happens. If it doesn't happen, it wasn't meant for you. And most people, when I can put it like that as a walk away number, then they're good with an escalation. Same way.
Yeah.
It's just the way I word
And
it a little bit different.
when I do my escalation clauses, I don't know how you guys do yours, but when I do mine, I always pick an odd number. Like I never do 1,000 and I never do 1,500 because those are what everybody does. I usually do like 1,750, or I'll do like 1,250 or something. Like I'll pick like a random number that's a little bit different and it's not like the zeros at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like
Just
I try
avoid
not.
the rounded numbers is the name of the game. I try and do that even on my purchase prices in the first place. I'll do like 400 and then like 400,000, $500, whatever, right? Like, so even if like that is, we're not doing an escalation and we're just putting that flat price, like make it a weird number. And then I always tell them too, I'm like, do you have like an anniversary? What's your special number? Like, let's use those fun special numbers to you and like make that a part of our purchase price. And then it makes it like a little more fun for them versus just like a rounded number. But yeah, that's one of my fun ones.
I like that. Brooke, do you do anything? Have you done anything different or
So
unique to
something other than price, which I don't think this always necessarily works, but kind of giving the listing agent like the warm and fuzzies about everything. So like in general, I'm sure you already have the lender call, right? So that already makes you feel better. And then it's talking to the listing agent to like let them know like this is a guaranteed close. So, okay, I'm $3,000-4,000 less than all your other offers, but is it worth that $4,000? Like, are you sure they're gonna close? Have you talked to their lender? Do you know how much money they have? Can they even do that escalation clause? Is that at the top of their price point? Like, I'm sending you an offer that is 100% going to close. I can show you A, B, C. Like, I guess I do more of the, like, this is my client situation. This is what they have. That, like, let me connect you with the lender. I talk to them about things. I let them know I used to be a transaction coordinator, so there's literally no problems. Like, I actually understand how to write contracts. I understand timelines, deadlines. I've already talked to my clients about home inspections. We're only looking for elephants. We don't look for ants. Like, I let them know how much I've prepped my client and how much due diligence I've done before we even write offers. And then the listing agent's kind of like, okay, I'm working with an agent who knows what they're doing, and they're not gonna be a problem for me. Where sometimes you work with an agent and you're like, okay, you just wrote a bullshit number to get this offer, and like you're throwing numbers and you're a good agent because you wrote the highest offer, but then what happens when it doesn't close? Or what happens when we run into all these problems? Like, I'm
Right.
basically gonna, like, I'm someone who's in operation, so I will do your job for you as the listing agent half the time. Like, oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. And that
Nicole,
usually
we were
helps
kind of,
too, because we're like, I feel comfortable with you, you know?
we were talking about that a little bit before we started recording here too. Like, it's always a red flag, and I don't know if anyone else feels the same about this. Like, Brooke, probably with your TC experience too. Like, I hate getting .loop links, right? As like, that's the email that you're sending your offer, and like, immediate red flag for me that you're just lazy. You don't know what you're doing. Like, and that's a little bit of a personal thing, but I've heard a lot of other agents say similar things, especially experienced ones. Like, send me a formal email, send me like CC in your lender, CC your TC, like, put in together a summary, make my job easy, and include it as a PDF so then I can upload it to my .loop or Remine or whatever and send it out for signatures. Like, don't make my job harder as an agent.
I
Yeah,
agree. And one
I,
of the things that I do, sorry, Brooke, real quick. I
you're
put in
fine.
it drives me nuts when agents don't follow the directions that you give them. So like, I put in my agent notes, like, please send all offers to this email in one PDF. When I get 7 attachments, it makes me want to pull my hair out because now I have to download all 7 attachments. Now I have to upload all of those. And when you're missing documents and all that stuff, like, again, another red flag, because if you're missing, like, if you're missing a FHA addendum on an FHA offer, I don't, that's part of my terms. How can I accept your offer if I don't know who's paying for FHA required repairs? Are they asking for any sort of concessions? Who's paying for the pest inspection if it's a VA loan? This is all part of my, like, terms here. I need to know that. And I've had agents who are like, oh, we'll figure that out later. No, sir. Like, we're going to figure that out before we even accept your offer. Because if you're telling me, what if you come back and say, oh, seller or buyer wants seller to pay for all repairs? Well, that doesn't work for my client. So we got to figure this out beforehand. Brooke, what were you going to say?
Um, oh, I was gonna say, so still kind of along with my point. Um, I like in my offer like email. So someone on one of my listings once did, I actually think Marissa does this too. Um, someone wrote an offer on one of my listings and it was multiple offers, and I saw it pop up on my phone and it said your best offer for blah 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 street. And I was like, oh, in my head, it immediately just made me think this is the best offer. Like, it
Yeah.
was stupid, but like, and it stood out. And I put like a star emoji like in the subject line too, like, or like a cheers emoji. Because I feel like we all get our emails on our phones, right? So we have like emojis and different things. But I really liked that, like your best offer, whatever. Like, I thought it was kind of like fun. And then when I call, I'm like, so how'd you like that offer? Like, do you see that offer yet? And then I usually put like a little note about my clients in the email. Like, they're first time home buyers, they're so excited. Like, they do not want to lose this house. Like, please let us know, blah, 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 whatever. They're having a baby, whatever. And then I do a bullet points on my email, and I do purchase price, 7-day due diligence for inspection, closing date, like I lay it all out really quickly in bullet points, which I think looks really, really nice. And then on top of it, like, it's just an easy way to skim the offer. And that way, if there is anything in there that maybe they miss, it's all right there in the bullet points. I obviously only highlight the good things, but like if I'm giving occupancy, I just say 60 days occupancy. I don't say if they have to pay for it or not. You know?
I
Unless
do the
it's free.
same thing. I always do an
Yeah.
offer summary in all of my emails. And then what I've started doing semi recently is just copying that section. And I'll text the agent and say offers in your email. And then I'll send them the offer summary. So now they have it on their text. So then if they're, if they're on the go, they're like, I sent it to one guy who's like, whoa, that's a super strong offer. Thanks for sending me this. So I also, in every one of my emails, like you were just saying how you give some information, I sometimes will go above and I'll be like, this is my client situation. Like I put in there everything because I don't know. I assume that agents are lazy. Most of the time, I assume agents are lazy and they are just forwarding that email over to the seller or to the seller. So I never do that personally. Like I always go through each offer, I talk to them about it. I'll send them the offers to review and all that. But I put my own review of each offer in there, like a breakdown. But I assume that they're just going to forward that email over. So I put in there the information. I put in there, this is my client absolutely loves this house. This is why. It's a beautiful listing. They took such good care of it. I schmooze a little bit. I'll tell them about my clients. Oh, they're relocating here from wherever, or my client is pregnant. They're so excited for their new baby. This house is going to be perfect for them. It's in the same school district. Like I put all of the stuff in there because you never know. They might just forward that right over to their seller. So if you can schmooze them a little bit, schmooze the agent. Sometimes I'll even say something funny, like I'll put in there like, plus you're going to work with a great agent. Like I take my job very seriously. I'm very responsive. You're going to hear from me with updates. I basically just toot my own horn and talk about how I'm a great agent to work with on top of that. So, and if the conversation is good, then typically it works out well. Like I actually, this was a funny story. I text an agent a question and his name was Matthew and I accidentally typed Michael. In my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I meant Matthew. He goes, oh, I've been called worse. And I was like, so we had this joke. And then I said, I half thought you were going to respond and call me Nancy or something instead of Nicole. And he goes, no, no, I said Natalie or something. And he goes, no, I feel like I need to find a worse name than that. That's not funny enough. So then he was like, how about Nancy or something? Like he just came up with some funny name. And so like the running joke through every text we ever sent was like sending each other the wrong name. And so it's like we developed this good rapport. My clients ended up backing out of the house, but we had great rapport throughout the whole transaction. So when it did fall through, it was a lot easier to be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like we had good rapport through this whole thing. I'm so sorry that this happened. But I think developing that rapport is one of the big things that we have to do to get our offers accepted. Having those conversations up front, having calling them, not just texting them. And, or if they don't answer, text them and say, hey, like my client's super interested in this house. I have a couple questions for you. Even if I really don't have questions, I just want to talk to them about the house and talk to them about my clients. I always will have questions about what offers they have. And I don't know about you guys. I seem to always deal with the agents that don't want to give the information up about what their offers are. So I bug them. I'll say they'll be like, oh, we have 3 offers. They're over asking. And I'll say, okay, are your offers 10,000 over asking? Yes. Okay. Are they 15,000 over asking? Yes. Okay. Are they 25? And I'm like, I know you're annoyed by now. Just tell me what you have in hand and I'll let you know if and hopefully my clients can compete. So, I'll kind of make a joke with them about it to try to get a little bit more information out of them. And at the end of the day, I'll tell them like, I'm working on the best interest of my client, and you're working in the best interest of your client. So if we can make this work for both of us, why not? And as long as the seller has given them permission to give out the information about the offers, which our contract now says that they can in our listing agreements, we have in our listing agreement, it says that that seller gives us permission to give out all of the terms and information of the offer if it is in, the best interest of the client. So,
Oh, that's good to know. Like, because that is my biggest annoyance with this. Like, I have one client right now, I've written so many offers, and like we keep getting, there's like multiple offer situations and we keep losing out, and it's so frustrating. But I'm always like the agent, like, just tell me like if we can be in the ballpark, because it just wastes everybody's time. You know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating. But I like the way that you did that with just like, okay, is it 10,000? You know what I mean? Like, to kind of,
yeah. I mean, I don't try to be annoying on purpose, but I'll just say like, are any of your offers 10,000 over? And if they say yes, they'll say, okay, and do they have appraisal guarantees? Like, cause I need to know this stuff, because if you have an offer that's 10K over, but there's no appraisal guarantee, well, to me, that's not really a super strong offer. So, so I've done that where I keep going up. Okay. Are they 25K over? Because at that point, my client's probably going to be out.
right.
So then they might say, yeah, I'm so sorry. We are. Okay. Well, that's great. Now I go back to my client and I'm like, they're at least 25K over. Do you want to go higher? And then I kind of have a gauge of where we are in the offers. But there's also lots of agents. I know, Skylar just worked with one where they don't give you anything. They just say, send us your
like
best.
gatekeep that, like,
Yeah. And
which I feel frustrating, because like I understand sometimes why they do that, but at the end of the day, they could be losing out on money, because if they would have told me an amount that my people are willing to beat,
Right.
then we could have made it go higher. So yeah, it's frustrating.
Well, I've actually gotten into arguments with agents in the past about it. Not an argument, but a debate where they're like, I'm not allowed to give you that information. I'm like, did your seller tell you that? Did your seller say you cannot give any of the information? Because technically you can, as long as it's in the best interest of your client and your client agrees that it's okay to give out that information. Because if you tell me that your highest offer right now is 320 and my client's willing to go to 325, does that not benefit your client? The only way that it would not benefit is if my offer is lower. Now we've just wasted a weekend waiting for you to tell us that we weren't even close to competing. My clients could have wrote an offer on a different property. Now you've wasted everybody's time. So I just try to get as much information as I can. I try to dig a little bit deeper when they don't want to give out any information. And sometimes, sometimes I'll ask them, or if I'm on the phone with them, I'll make a joke like, come on, this is making my job so much harder. It's making your job harder. I know you got other things to do. Like, if you can just give me some information about the offer, I'll know if my clients can actually even compete on this property. And if not, nobody's wasting time.
Right.
So then usually they're like, okay, the offer, I have like this, or what I've been seeing recently is some people are like, I haven't even had a chance to review the offers yet. And I'm like, okay, I'll call you tomorrow when you have a chance to look at them. And then they usually do. And they usually give me a little bit of information, but I just did it this weekend where I asked 3 questions about the offer, like the offers in hand. And I mean, I got the information I needed. I hope it works out. I'll find out later today, but it's tough. It's hard because there are agents who just don't want to give any information out at all. So
Brooke's trying to copy and paste in my template for my offer summary email that I send. Cause like she said, I do like winning offer for blah, blah street and as like the subject line. And then I treat it like a resume, cause I'm the same as you, Nicole. And I always tell my TCs and anyone I've ever trained this is assume that everyone else sucks at their job and overcompensate. Like, it should be on us to make everything else easy, make it feel seamless. So that's what I put in there. And I've got like a little bit about the clients, a little about me. Obviously, we just have to be careful that we're not like over disclosing about the clients. But I'll put in things that are factual. As long as you stay factual, then you're good. Like, talk about some of their financial things, highlight, like, treat it like a resume. what are your experiences? Why would that be beneficial? Talk about the client's financial backings and situation, their job. And then usually I'll throw in like one little personal line. I think in this one, I was like, oh, they loved the renovations that you did. Like they can tell the love you put into the home or something, because that's the cheesy shit that might get to a seller sometime, right? This one too, I specifically went and found this email because in this one, I had written so many freaking offers for this girl. I felt so bad, and she was a friend of mine. And so I did, without her knowing, because I didn't want her knowing that I did this, but I went in and did, instead of offering price incentive, like to the timing, I said if they accepted our offer that day, then I did 1%. I offered 1% of my commission to the listing agent. And then if they accepted it by like noon the next day or something, then it was like a 0.5%. So, because I knew it was a hot house, so I used commission to bribe the other agent, and unfortunately, didn't even freaking work. Like, it's insane how these things don't even end up working out sometimes. But that I thought was a slightly different, creative one. And then we also, when I was reading back through this email, because I knew I did something unique on that one with the commission. The other thing we did is I've done this sometime in busier markets when like stuff's really tight on timelines. I book my inspections ahead of time, which ideally that works like if you've got a good inspector and stuff that like doesn't care if you add, delete whatever from their calendar and like knows that you're usually good for it. Because obviously, like some random Joe is probably not going to be a fan if you just cancel with him all the time. But if you've got like a preferred inspector, then they'll usually pre-book with you. And so I book for like something convenient the next day so that it shows them like, I'm not messing around. Like, we're going to get this done tomorrow. I'm already booked. Accept this tonight. Let's get this going. Like, we're assuming the close. It's happening.
So I had an agent who did that before, an agent that I knew who did that before, and she actually went into showing time and booked the inspection, and the agent got so mad. He was like, how dare you schedule inspection? We're not even accepting your offer. We haven't even like looked at these offers yet. So she like went maybe one step too far, but like to say in your email, like, I already have inspections, like I already have my inspector on hold for tomorrow at this time. Like, I think that is a great way to go about it, more so than actually just like putting it into showing time, because I'm sure that caused like mass confusion for the seller too. She like wondering why somebody's scheduling inspection when they hadn't even accepted an offer yet. But I think having that inspector on speed dial and saying like, hey, I'm going to book this appointment tomorrow. We might end up having to cancel if we don't get this house. But that's a great way to have kind of even say, I have this person in hand. I've done sometimes where I've done like a 7-day inspection period, but I'll put in my email, I'll say 7-day inspection period. However, I will schedule inspection within the next 48 hours, just so then they know that it's getting done in that 48-hour time frame. And then hopefully, there's no issue with the inspector getting there on time. But if one can't, there's always another one who can, right? So you don't have to necessarily worry about that. But I think getting creative in this market is probably one of the most important things. And I think we have to think about what the seller will do. I have heard a couple people now who have said like they'll go to the listing agent right off the bat and say, what number will get this done? Like, what number will shut down the open house, will shut down everything, and they'll be done today. And, of course, some agents will be jerks and just like throw out some like crazy high number, but you never know. I mean, we wrote 45 over on a house, and I mean, in this market, that's not unheard of. And that was what shut it all down. And actually
think of
giving
it
the
like a
extra
FISBO
5,000.
too, right? Like, okay, they have a number in their head. That doesn't mean that's their real life number, but that means that there is a number because they threw something out there. Maybe it's $1 million when there's a $500,000 house, right? But like, okay, they're willing to move, they're willing to sell, they're willing to work with an agent. So it's the same thing. If the agent's going to be stupid and throw out a number that's unproductive, well, then there is a number for them and their seller to wrap it up today and skip the open house. They're just not telling you yet. So you just have to ask a better question.
Yeah. Well, I think like, the market that we have is, well, let's just say this. Like I said earlier, I think sellers, if you throw out a high number right off the bat, because you're trying to do the best for your client really wants his house, it ends up, I think, turning the seller a little bit more greedy, and then they're really worried about like what else they can get. So I also get a little worried, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. I always get worried about doing escalation clauses, because in my mind, all that does is incentivize them waiting it out to get a higher offer. So I don't love doing escalation clauses unless like I really feel like it's necessary for that house. But it always drives me a little crazy because it just pushes things out through the whole weekend because they want to see how high they can actually get their offers. So I also like to start out on my escalation clauses. If I'm going to do it, I never start at list price. I always start a little bit higher, because I feel like a lot of people, when they write their escalation clauses, they start at list price and then go up from there. And I feel like if you go in with a higher number off the bat, it shows that you're a little bit more serious than if you just put list price with an escalation. Do you guys do anything like that?
If there's no other offers, I'm not doing escalation. I'll just go in
Oh,
with a flat number, and which we don't always know either, right? But yeah, that's, if there seems to be nothing else in hand, then that's, I just come back and add an escalation, so that way they don't know what my top number is.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. What else is there anything else that you guys are doing? Angie or Skylar, Dawn, or anybody, anyone who's on the call. I know there's Maya and Caroline are here too, but you're off. Dawn's off now too, but we know she was there. Is there anything else that you guys, there she is. Anything else that you guys are doing to help get your offers accepted in this market?
Two things I always do is I always call the agent to see if there are any other offers or anyone else showing interest. And I always say, what is important to your client? Most of the time it is money, but sometimes it's time. Like they've found another house and they just got to get that house under contract so they can move on to the house of their dreams. Or sometimes it's they're in the process of building, or and they need another 60 days, but they want to go ahead and get that house. So sometimes it's almost always money, but sometimes it is time. And that's a pretty easy fix, on a contract, because no one's really out anything except their time. And so I always say, well, would it help if we did this, or would it help if we did that? So I always ask the agent, besides money, what else is motivating them to sell? And then the other thing I was thinking of is, I don't get a lot of cash offers, but I do get some, especially around the lake. And I've got different title companies that I'll use and stuff. And if it's someone that I've used and like I feel like I can leverage that relationship, I will call them and say, Susie, I'm getting ready to write an offer. It's got two others on there. Typically, you can close something in 3 weeks. Can you close it in 7 days for me? Can you close it in 9 days for me? 10 days? Like, how fast with an all cash can you get me? And I will leverage that relationship to before I write that offer, because I have won an all cash offer before, being the lower dollar amount, but I closed a week sooner. And in
Yeah.
that situation, it was time. They just wanted their money and they wanted out. And so I always look, is there any kind of relationship with the lender or the title that I can use as leverage too? I don't know. It's worked.
I did that with this offer that I got accepted on that like unique property I was talking about, because I put on there we would close in 15 days. And my lender can, even on a conventional loan, he can close super quick. So I put 15 days. They came back and they were like, okay, we love your offer, but my clients can never be out of this house in 2 weeks. So could we extend the purchase agreement for 30 days? I was like, oh, absolutely. I was just, I put on there 2 weeks because I'm trying to beat out a cash offer. So if you can, a cash offer can close in 15 days, so can I. So I would, that's the only reason why I put that on there. Whatever works for your clients. If they need 30 days, then we'll give them 30 days. That's no problem at all. So, I do think it's smart too to find out exactly what you just said, like what's important to them. Is it they want to finish out the school year, so they don't want to move until, the middle of June because they want to finish out the school year here? Or is it that they, want to have, whatever, they want to have their one last pool day or whatever, whatever it might be. Maybe they have a graduation party that they want to get done with and then move. There's just a lot of things that might be a issue that would help them if we knew what it was. How can we help?
Something else you can ask that listing agent when you're having that like discovery phone call is if they have a preferred title, like that they have a relationship with, where they're like, do you have a JV, right? Like, because if I'm going to be incentivized a couple $100 every transaction, or if I can double dip a transaction, then okay, if I can convince that buyer agent then to use the same title as me, I get a little extra skin in the game, then just one more thing on top of it, right? So to incentivize the listing agent without it affecting literally anyone else's numbers, it does not matter at all to anyone, cost no one anything different, just puts a little extra money in that listing agent's pocket if they have a JV, right? If they already have that relationship or some sort of affiliate lined up, then cool, I'll give you that side of the title. I don't care.
Yeah. I do that sometimes too, or like I actually put in my listings that the seller would prefer not to split title. And so I put that in there. I have a document that they sign that they agree to use the same title company that I'm using. Not everybody will do it, but for the most part, if they know like, hey, this is important that we don't want to split title, then it makes everybody's life easier if there's not two people going back and forth or two companies going back and forth and sharing information and sharing documents and sharing, the lenders now got to talk to two different title companies. It just becomes more and more confusing. So if we could streamline it, why not? Right? So, anything else that you guys want to talk about at the very end here? We're right at 1 o'clock. So is there anything else or do we want to wrap things up? Or does anyone have any questions about an offer or how they can word something? Nobody? Okay. Well, let's call this today then. I hope you guys got some ideas on how to write your offers a little bit differently, how to structure your emails. I always think that, putting all that information in there is super helpful. I love what Marissa put in here about putting some of the information in there about you, because some people don't know, like they might want to know that you're a full-time agent. They might want to know your background on whatever. I think that's a smart idea. So I love that. So thank you guys all for joining. Thanks for participating today. And we will be back next week with another Modern Agent Blueprint. I hope you guys all show up next time. Have a great day, everybody.